Alrighty. So apparently they decided to release the lore on Felix, which I'm happy to see about. They said mentioned his gender is male. Well, obviously, but his nationality, he's actually German, actually. Oh. So this will be the upcoming survivor on the next chapter, Descent Beyond. Let's read about his lore. Let's see. It says Felix Ritcher was born to Janos and Ursula Ritcher in Coburg, Germany, where the Ritcher family had deep connections and were among the most respected of its physicians. His parents, both members of an ancient society, were always out for the Ritcher Manor at medical conferences or providing humanitarian aid around the world. Traveling exposed young Felix to new cultures, languages, and architecture, unlike anything he had ever seen before. He wasn't sure when the architectural bug bit, but when it bit hard. And he knew that despite his family's legacy, he would one day design buildings that would inspire the world. By 23, he was considered an architectural prodigy, having won the Swift Architectural Medal and the German National Design Award. Yet, despite his success, Felix couldn't shake the gnawing feeling that his success had more to do with luck and connections than talent and hard work. Growing up, Felix was socially awkward and introverted, preferring his imagination to the company of others. He had few friends, so when he wasn't traveling with his parents, Felix was in his father's library devouring rare books, studying history and architecture, soaking up anything and everything he could on architectural movements throughout the centuries. His father hoped young Felix would learn to be more outgoing and hired every possible specialist to help him improve his social skills. When these efforts failed, he threw in the proverbial towel and figured his son would learn when he was ready. He then joined young Felix in the library, when he helped him build elaborate wooden models of buildings while telling him wild stories about his secret club and their ancient battle against a dark and ominous force. Stories, Felix was sure, his father had made up to make Imperiality Group sound cooler than it actually was. Felix sometimes wondered if his design sensibility came from his summer trips to Dyer's Island, a private island that boasted some of the world's finest homes and designs. Every summer, Felix would accompany his parents to the island, where members of the Imperiality would encourage their children to network and forge lifelong connections. Felix didn't mingle well with other teenagers, but he did make four friends who, like himself, didn't quite fit the high society mold. They were often ridiculed by other teens and despairingly called the pariahs, a name they likely and gladly adopted. Instead of practicing public speaking and engaging in endless debates, the pariahs spent most of their times exploring the ruins and mysteries of the island until one of their adventures took a turn for the worst. Oh gosh. Exploring an abandoned internment camp, they descended into what it seemed to be an underground laboratory, where they uncovered old, leather journals with illustrations and notes of inhumane experiments conducted on prisoners of the First Opium War, held by the British East India Company. As they pushed through a locked door, they found a chamber scattered with human skeletons and dusty vials filled with an unknown serum. Before they could examine the contents, the ground seemed to shake beneath their feet, and a hissing sound filled their ears. A strange fog suddenly appeared, and giant claws seemed to burst from the ground, and dark imaginations mingled with reality to terrorize them. Before they understood what was happening, Felix's father and several other parents came to their rescue, used strange tools and objects to protect them. Felix's father and several other parents came to their rescue. Oh, sure, I read that already. Felix stared at the scene in shock of disbelief. He wasn't sure if he was dreaming or living one of his father's ridiculous supernatural stories. By the time he realized it wasn't a dream, it was all over. The pariahs were safe, but their parents had mysteriously disappeared without a trace. After the shock of his father's disappearance, Felix searched for any theory that could help him understand the phenomenon he had encountered on that island. He exchanged notes with the pariahs and other people he had met online, who had also lost loved ones in a similar way. The tragedy had fostered a strong relationship between the pariahs, and for years they worked together to unravel a mystery of what would happen to their parents. But nothing made sense, and every lead they pursued hit a dead end. With time, their efforts dwindled, and the five friends slowly grew apart, each going their separate ways, hoping to forget the nameless darkness that had robbed them from their parents. Over the years, Felix proved to be an exceptional architect, though he found little inspiration working for others. He realized his father was right. His lack of social skills was holding him back. With dedication and purpose, he improved his diction and decorum and learned how to network or play act, as he liked to call it. He created the perfect facade to make himself more likable and popular with potential clients. After working for several architectural firms, he established his firm, his colleagues Lauren Golder. Both shared a similar vision and were philosophically opposed to formulaic modernist buildings, often experiencing with usual materials, shapes, and structures. Felix continued to undermine traditional expectations in favor of the edgy and unconventional devices that set the architectural world abuzz. But even with all the accolades, he could shake this feeling that he was in a phony, like an actor who had learned a part instead of a true architect who had inspired the world with an impeccable design. During these moments of insecurity and self doubt, he would distract himself with endless parties and drown his anxieties in alcohol, wishing his father was still around for some harsh advice and tempered wisdom. Eventually, Felix's girlfriend announced that he was going to be a father. The news shocked him to the core and wanted him to inspire his unborn child as much as his father inspired him. He quickly pulled his life together. What he needed was a project that would challenge him and cement his worth as an architect. As fate would have it, the perfect opportunity presented himself when old friends of his father commissioned his film Richer and Golder to build something new and unconventional on Dar's Island. The challenge excited and terrified Felix, who now drowned his anxieties with articles and books on parenting. Within 6 months, the Dyer restoration project was underway, and as Felix surveyed the island, he suddenly heard a familiar voice called out to him from beyond the shattered Victorian buildings and the crumbling ruins hiding dark stories long hidden and forgotten. Through a strange, gathering fog, he saw a form slowly take shape. His eyes widened and his lips parted, but no words issued forth. Could it be? Was it possibly? No, it couldn't be. It was impossible, and yet, with gnawing realization, Felix staggered back as he watched his father emerge from the fog. His legs felt weak, and his rising heartbeat thrashed in his ears. It was him. It was really him. His unborn child would have known his grandfather, and he could finally show him how much he had accomplished since he disappeared. They stared at one another for a long moment. Then his father gave him a look of a disappointment, turned his back on him, and proceeded to walk away. Over his pounding heart, Felix chased after him and was never seen again. Wow, that's deep. So I think that's what happened. That's how he got taken by the entity when Felix chased after his father and he was never seen again. So I think that's when the fog took him. So and that is pretty deep. Okay, so he was German. His father. He grew up in a rich family actually because his father was a very likable architect, and all the physicians liked him and his family, and he wanted to follow his father's footsteps to becoming one. But dang, that is deep. Well, I'm glad you guys was stayed on here to watch this. He's gonna be a very good survivor. I like his perks already. I think one perk that is useful is built to last. I think it says once per trial a depleted item will refill 30, 40, 50% of its charges after 10 seconds. So I think that would be good. And I think desperate measures too as well. Increase healing and unhooking speeds by 10, 12, 14% for each injured hook or dying survivor. So Visionary, I mean, you tried generators, but I don't think that was good, to be honest. But these perk, desperate measures and built to last, is a very good one. But that's it for you for today, guys. I hope I see you guys next video, and I see you guys next time.